this is Sabina at Cross Keys Crafts. Yesterday I went to the Lavinia Stamps open day, the Hallaganza in Ruthin. I went with a crafty friend and we had a great time there. We got there at 10 in the morning and we left when they closed at 4 p.m. or just after. And I got a few stamps that I thought I'd briefly show you in this video, but this is not supposed to be a haul video. I just got a few stamps from the latest collection that was just released, which are these two robins and the little robins. This one's called Bobby, this one's Jemima, and these, they're just called small robins. I bought two mistletoes. This is the full-sized one, which is called Christmas mistletoe, and this is the mini mistletoe, I suppose. Yes, this is from the mini selection. And then I bought these two houses. They have got these slightly bigger, but I went for these because I compared them in the shop, and that's great when you have the possibility to go to the shop. I compared them with the other houses I have, and I thought this was a better selection to go with the other ones just in case I want to combine them. And these are called woodland cottages. So as I said, they've got these individually but slightly bigger. And then I bought the lamp, which is called Street Light. I thought this would be really lovely, and this was one of the main things, I think the main stamps in this new collection, which are Annie and Edward. And what I really liked about these is they're not fairies, they're not sprites, anything. It's just two children, and that's really nice to have. I'm not always into fairies, so it's great to have these as that don't have wings. And they also very much remind me of a sort of a Dutch and Scandinavian look, having these black silhouettes and having these children, and they work perfectly with a street light, for example. But I'm looking forward to creating other things with these. And then I bought a few older bits. Some of them I had already seen in YouTube demonstrations, and some I saw during the demonstrations at the Hallaganza and decided it's good to have these. This one's called Foliage Set, and I wasn't quite 100% sure whether I had this already, but I don't think I do. And I saw Tracy Dutton use this one here to extend the branches on the thicker branch, and also this one I thought would be useful. And I've seen Joe Rice use this one here, so I got this one here. This one was another one that I thought, have I actually bought it already? Because I did mean to actually catalogue my stamp collection, but I didn't find the time. This is the Fairy Catkins, and I've seen Joe Rice create wreaths with those, and they are great for Christmas cards. And yeah, so I treated myself. Talking of treating, my husband was very kind. It's my birthday today, so the day after I went to the Hallaganza, and my husband gave me a very generous voucher yesterday to take with me to the shop, so I didn't really pay for any of these. Then I got a sentiment set here, which is called Magic Surrounds Us. I had a look at some of these when I recently used one of my sentiments and cut it apart. I thought it's nice to have a selection of these sentiment blocks. They're nice for the backgrounds as well, so I picked this one. And then I also picked this one here, Red Leaves Fall as Silence Calls, Goodbye Autumn, Hello Winter. I think it's because at the moment I'm still in this autumn mood, and I did buy these leaves here. That's the oak leaves, and that's the red leaves sentiments. So I thought these would go nicely together. I did hesitate a little bit because I've got oak leaves. Well, I've got the ones from the Green Man, and I've got oak leaves from other companies like Visible Image. But yeah, I really fancied these. And then this was another thing I saw in a demonstration. Lisa, I think they call it Magical Maker, I'm not quite sure now. She had a card on her desk where she had the cauldron, and she used this little bubble stamp as well. And yeah, I was quite intrigued, and I never thought about I needed this, but then I thought, wouldn't this be nice for a get well soon card if you're making like a broth or so? So I thought, yeah, I'll get this. So I went back into the shop after the demonstration and got that one as well. And this one again was one that I thought, do I really need it? It's quite bold, I think, with these words, but I did buy it. And when I saw demonstrations by Jo Rice afterwards, so she was using these, and I thought, yeah, it was a good choice. And my crafty friend actually went back into the shop and got these as well. I think they are very great, you know, really great for Christmas cards. So yeah, that was just the big haul. I will put a little note in the video if you want to forward this. You can skip this. But yeah, in today's video, I want to keep this really, really short because my friend asked me yesterday, actually, what have you learned? And one of the biggest revelations I have had watching the demonstrations was I don't always need to work on a larger scale. I got into the habit of creating 6x6 cards or 5x7 cards. Sometimes I make 6x4. And quite a few of the crafters yesterday, Tracy Dutton worked on tags, and Sarah Jo worked on a really small scale. And I thought, yeah, I should try and do that. And I think it takes the stress out of having to fill a whole background and having to create a whole scene. So that's what I want to do today in this video. Create a quick background, just a small one, and then use my smaller stamps for this. So I've made a bit of space on my desk for my gel plate. Excuse the messiness of it. I think it's got some residue from my last project, but it doesn't matter. It has been sort of cleaned. I think just with time they do get stained. I could see it's my goldfish card that I had this with. So the other thing I treated myself to yesterday was 2 sets of these pixie pots. I always thought I didn't need them. I could use something else. And I saw Tracy Dutton yesterday use these. Oh, by the way, I think I called Sarah Jo. Apologies for that. So, and when Tracy used these, I thought, oh, you know what? These are so handy. And I think it's great that I can have my dinkles and my brushos ready for when I use my gel plate rather than having to mix them in advance. So I've just mixed a bit of Blue Dragon with some water, and I've got the porcelain here. I really just put a little bit in there, and I think that'll do. I might also mix in a little bit of my gold watercolours. Tracy used the Kuretake gold. It was like a liquid gold. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful, but it's not cheap, and I decided after my expenses yesterday not to buy it. But anyway, I have got a few Elements inks here. I've got the Blue Atoll, the Blue Lagoon, and the Dark Denim. And I want to put a bit of ink down on here, then put some dinkles down, and I've got a large piece of paper here that I will then cut down to a tag or maybe a gift tag. I'll have a look. So one thing I've forgotten is my brayer. Just using my mini brayer because my big one's really, really messy. So, and I'm just, as I said, just putting some ink down. So I'm just inking up my roller, moving the brush a little bit out of the way. I don't even have to go to the edge because I won't be needing the whole piece. So, and the great thing about working with a gel plate is it's just fun. You just don't know what's going to happen. You just leave it to chance, but you usually get quite a good result, just an interesting result. And that's one thing I learned again yesterday, is just enjoy the process. Don't think about too much what you want it to look like. Just let it happen. And the other thing I learned is you don't need to apply the ink all over the place. You can just apply a little bit on the edge. I never thought about that before. I might have to, let me just move this out of the way. The only thing I don't want is streaks like that, so I might just come in a little bit with a brush and just soften that a little bit. Just find the brush. I've got a mop brush here. I could just use that because I don't want this to be too harsh here. So, and now I'm coming in with my fan brush here, and I'm just dipping this into the dinkles, and I'm just spraying this all over. So I theoretically needed another brush for the white. I've got no idea what this is going to be looked at, but as I said, that's the fun of it. Yeah, I think I go without the gold for the moment. And yeah, I'm just taking a print. I'm just thinking whether I need to add some more water, but I think I'll just go for this now. So you can spritz it with water, mist it a little bit, but usually get a good print. And if not, do it again, or just try another print all over this. And I think Joe Rice actually does it the other way around, because then you can see what you're creating. Ooh, liking this. The advantage of having a bigger piece is you don't get your fingers mucky on either side. What I don't like is the square bit there where I used my brayer. So, but yeah, this is what the dinkles do. They create this sort of pattern. But the elements, they are water reactive inks, so I can go over that with water now and soften these edges here. So I'm just having a look, looking for my water bottle. So I'm going to spritz this, and by the way, I'm just working on my usual 300 years from UK Crafts. So the other thing I can do is go in with a tissue or kitchen towel and just dab a little bit off. Can you see how I'm taking ink off and soften the edges there? But then again, if I'm working on a smaller scale, I don't have to use that. I can just use the bit that I really like. And none, you know, even if you repeat the same process, no piece will look like the other. You will always get a different look to them. So I could dry that and go in again with more dinkles, but I think I'm happy with it. Especially like this here. Can you see that? Where I've got really lots of white specks, and I think this would be lovely to have like a wintry scene. So if I like cover this here, I really like the look of that. So I'm going to leave this to dry. I might come in with my heat tool, but I do this all off camera, and then I come back and show you what I'm stamping. I've dried my piece and I have cut it to size now. I've still got a leftover for another tag, and this is 2.5 by just under 6 inches now. I just stuck with this. I could have cut it a little bit slimmer because I've got a bit of white going there, but it doesn't really matter. So to create this die, this tag, by the way, if you've got a die, obviously you can use that. You can buy pre-cut tags, but I don't think you really need those. I'm just marking here on the back, just eyeballing the middle. You can be precise, just about here, to see where I need to cut my hole. So what I do with that, I've got my punch open here, I've marked this here, and I'm just lining this up so I know where to put the hole. As I said, I eyeball this. I think that'll be fine. So, and then I'm just cutting off a corner, and it's up to you what angle you want, how wide you want it. See, I'm actually cutting quite a bit of that white off anyway. So I think about here. So, and now I'm taking this corner that I've cut off, and I'm turning it over and place it in this corner and then I know how much I need to cut off there, and then I've got 2 equal corners cut off. Whichever angle I have on one side, it is very similar on the other side, and that just creates a nice tag. So for my stamps, I have chosen, I've already forgotten what they're called, Annie and Edward. I think they're gorgeous, and I just want them at the bottom here. And I thought, rather than using the street light, which I have seen, I thought I'd just use one of these words here and place a little robin to sit on the top of those letters. And I'm just contemplating whether the piece is too wide. I might just go for the Noel. I think that will be nice. So it doesn't really matter which stamps I'm starting with. You know what? I'd start with the boy and the girl. I think that would be best. And as always, you should just give these a little bit of a rub when you first use them. So I'm stamping with my VersaFine Onyx Black. Any colour obviously is nice. I could also use the Twilight, which is the very dark blue. But as I said before, I really like the look of these dark black silhouettes. Just stamping off here, just having a quick look. Yeah, lovely. So make sure you put plenty of ink on these, as they are silhouette stamps. Make sure I've got nothing on my fingers. And then cut this straight, and I'm placing this fairly at the bottom. I want to give it a little base afterwards, but not too much. And I'm giving the ink some time to get into that paper. There we go. A very crisp and lovely stamp. That's another thing I noticed when you see the crafters work properly at the Hallaganza. You can see, I know that Jo Rice, she cleans her stamps every single time, but Tracy actually doesn't. She said she never cleans her stamps, and I thought that was really interesting. She thinks they work better if they haven't been cleaned. So I felt a bit better about not cleaning mine straight away. I meant to. It was one of my New Year's resolutions, but yeah. Usually it's because I'm rushing my crafting a little bit sometimes. Sometimes I squeeze in some crafting before I need to go to work. So Edward just goes on the same level. I need to make sure that he's at least almost on the same level. Could have probably moved him a little bit further to the left, because she's quite to the right. You see the gap here and the gap on this side, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, very happy with that. As I said, could have done with that, but never mind. So then I need to stamp my sentiment. I've actually got a few new acrylic blocks. These are from the works. It's only because I've mislaid some of mine, but yeah, they're really nice. So I'm stamping this just in black, but I could imagine this being embossed, heat embossed. That would look lovely. So I want this sort of in the middle. I want enough space for the birds to sit on top, but I don't want it too close to the top, because I want to put some ribbon there. Yeah, lovely. I like the look of that. I'm not quite sure how well the camera picks it up. I'm recording in the evening with all my lights on. So then I need the birdies that have already, oh no, here they are. Just going to say they've already flown away. So I want at least one of them. Have a look how they sit on here. So either I could just have this one here, the other one could sit on the L. I think that would be nice actually to have both of them, because then that mimics the boy and the girl a little bit. So I will get a small acrylic block though. Reason being is if they are too big, I find I wobble, and if they are small enough, it's easier, I think, to handle them. So let me just zoom in a little bit, trying to put the feet on the end there. It's a bit difficult to see that through the stamp. Yeah, I'm missing a little bit. I could have had that a bit more solid, but I'll show you in a second how I can do that. Just doing the other birdie. Not quite sure how well that will sit on the L there. Just going for it now. If you're a bit above, you can always, use a fine liner and stretch the legs a little bit, or fill in something underneath. Yeah, so this one overlaps a little bit, but it doesn't matter. So, and this one here, yeah, that's fine. But I don't know if the camera picks it up. I'm missing a little bit of on the black there. And what I like to do is just take a fine brush. So it's got a bit of glue on it, but I think it's fine. And let me just zoom out a little bit. I'm just picking up some ink from the ink pad there, and I'm just filling that in there. Also a little bit there, and then I've got a more solid look. I prefer doing it that way. I've got the same ink, so it won't show as much. Tell you what, I'll do the same on Edward's back a little bit here, although I might fill that in with a pastel pen later anyway. So I'm leaving this to dry for just a moment, and then in the meantime I'll have a think about what embellishments I want, and I need some grounding. For the grounding, I'm just coming in with a small stencil brush and my inks again. I will just use the blue Atoll thing just a little bit. It's fairly juicy. I've got some residue in the lid as well that I can pick up, and I'm just coming in with that first, having a look what that looks like. You could make your own little mask and create a proper hill, but I don't want that. I just want a hint of colour there, but I definitely need something darker. This is a bit too green, so I'll do the dark denim instead maybe. Again, just inking this up. But with this time I'm starting with a lighter application, because I know this could be too much. So really just barely touching it. But yeah, I like that better. Just fading it out a little bit. Almost like a triangular shape. But I will actually have this one a bit more solid, so they're not standing on sort of individual hills. Yeah, I think this is all I need. I don't want to overthink it. I don't think you need to overthink it. One thing though, again, I saw a few crafters do, is give this a nice frame. With most of them use the dark denim, or they had another dark colour. And again, I think Tracy used the small stencil brush. I tend to go in with a thicker brush, but this is all you really need, a really thin one. So you're just coming from the edge and just go over like this, really working on the edge. No, I think they went this way. Yeah. Yeah, it takes some practice to get this right. Jo Rice actually comes in from the corners. She says that's better because you've got the more solid colour on the corner first, and then you can sort of fade it out. Yes, for me it's not that easy with a smaller brush because it does catch on the edges. Yeah, it's all a question of practice, I suppose. Also, this wants to bend up a little bit from when it was wet, so I suppose that's especially why it catches. So I'm trying to maybe come in from this side. Yeah, that's easier, working my way this way. So yeah, I'll leave that for a moment. So just quick think what I want. I need a something here to lighten up where the lamp is, and I definitely want some sort of snow on this. I've got these specks already, but I will either go for the Posca splats or maybe just do Posca dots. I'll have a little think. For the little lamp here, I feel like I need to zoom in a little bit. I've got my Artistro paint marker pen. It's a glitter pen. It's like an acrylic pen, so I know I can work on the ink here. I'm just really just dabbing this. The tip is quite juicy actually, so I don't want to cover the stamp too much. Almost done that already. So I'll just let that sit there for a moment. And then I want to come in with my Posca pen for some splats. Zooming out again for that. I've covered my desk here a little bit. Normally I do it in a shoebox, and I'm trying to do a shortcut here. So I've already prepped this, so I've given that a good shake, and I've pressed it here a few times, making sure I've got a good amount of ink coming out, and then I just tapping this with my other pen, and I can direct the snow here, really, the specks. This is really fine, fine specks when you do it close. You can also, depending on however you do it, you can have bigger splats. Now, I don't want to overdo it, although it is good fun. I feel I need a little bit more on the birds because I've got two bigger splats there. So, a bit on the edges there. All a question of when to stop. Yeah, I think I'll leave that. Don't you, having said that, no, I'll have a few more at the bottom here. And Edward got quite a few. Let me just lift that up because it is quite zoomed out. Can you see all the specks there? He got quite a bit now when I had another go. But yeah, I have to leave this to dry now, or you can see the gold on the lantern there. So the candle has disappeared a little bit, but I can go in with the Sharpie afterwards and just draw that in again. So I made the mistake of not taking the paint off the tip. So once I had pumped it, I should have given that a good wipe like this, and then I've got finer tip. But it is a good colour and nice for specks as well. The specks have dried really quickly. I tried to fill in the candle a little bit with just like a fine liner marker. Not very successful, so just be mindful when you use the glitter pens. But I need to add a bit more of a few highlights now, and I'm using my Conte Paris pastel pen, and I'm just looking. Well, we've got a bit of light coming here from lantern, so anywhere that the lantern faces you would actually have some highlights. So I'm just trying to place those there, maybe a little bit on the feet as well. Could do with sharpening this a little bit as well. Oh, one thing I've forgotten obviously is that the girl's candle brings some light as well, so I'm just smoothing these out a little bit, and I think that'll be enough. The other thought I had, I want to come in with this again, just using this scrap here, and I want to put a few light dots, really tiny dots, around the lantern and around the candle, and I think I will actually colour the candle flame gold as well. I think that would be nice, and I hope the camera picks it up, just almost like a bit of a fairy speckles, not too much, but I think it'll bring interest, and rather than, you know, making streaks that look a bit cartoony, I think this looks more like a fairy light. So, and I'm just thinking what else I wanted to do. I've forgotten already. Let me think. Yeah, I remembered now. Although these are obviously black silhouettes, I think you can give the birds and the children eyes with a black gel pen. This is like a glaze pen. And all I need to do is find the spot where the eyes would sit. Just not that easy, and the card wants to bend a little bit. Just put a tiny dot there. I'll just show you on the side. I would just make sure this rolls nicely, and then I just dab onto here where the eyes would sit. There we go, and it won't be visible to start with, but when the recipient faces up, makes its face the light, then I think it will show. And I'll show you in a second. Just need to look from the side here. Yeah, not sure I've got the girl's right eye right. Can you see? Just catches the light. It's really, really subtle, but I think I like the look of that, especially with a boy, because he looks a bit greyish. So yeah, and then the other thing I need to do is put some ribbon into this. So I just picked this blue and white twine. It's what I had handy. Any ribbon would be nice. So it's really up to you. I'm not even sure what I want to do with this tag, but I just wanted to enjoy the process of making it and not having to think about what I will use this for afterwards. So, and I'm just this is four bits actually, I think. Might be a bit too thick. Yeah, I think I'll just use 3. It's actually 1 piece at the moment, so can use a mix of twines. I mean, Lavinia, they sell lovely twines as well, but if you have stuff in your stash, use that. So I'm trying to do it a bit loosely. I don't want to tear the card when I'm tying the knot. Apologies if I'm going off camera a little bit. I need to pull this a little bit closer to me. So now I can cut this open and cut these off. Yeah, and there we go. A lovely little Christmas tag. I could stick this on a card if I wanted to, but as I said, I just wanted to enjoy the process, and I have. And yeah, I really like this. I think this is lovely. And if you like this too, you might want to give me a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more of what I'm creating, you might want to subscribe to my channel. I'd be very happy about that. And I'll see you soon with another video. I was just taking a photo for my thumbnail when I realised what was missing. Stickles. I think this really needs a few stickles here that looks like snow on the top, and maybe a little bit at the bottom as well, because I love stickles. So I'm just testing it on the side here like I do with my pens, making sure it flows nicely, and then turning this sideways I can pop a little bit on here on the top of the letters, just underneath the bird feet there, but on the top here, as if this was snow that has fallen down onto the top of those letters. So I think that'll be nice. And yes, I think I want a little bit where the children are standing. Just a little line there, omitting the feet. And because it's so much fun, a little bit more sort of interrupted lines. And the glue will dry and just leave behind the glitter, and that's what it'll look so lovely. So I will leave this to dry. That takes, I'd say, a few hours to dry clear, and then I will just pop a little snippet here at the end of the video what it looks like.